I got you, didn't I? Now let's talk about... Now the Mortal Kombat 2 movie is finally out, and I have barely much to say. I know it is surprising as a Mortal Kombat fan, but I just don't know. I've sat down and processed for hours, tried writing down my thoughts, but still nothing at all. I do not know what to say. But I made a promise. I'm going to make this video, and here I am, once again, talking about the Mortal Kombat 2 movie. Now the movie starts off with Shao Kahn trying to take over Edenia. It is the 10th battle out of many, and he's facing King Jared. This is where in the trailers we see King Jared gets killed and Shao Kahn finally becoming the ruler of Edenia. There is then a time jump and we see Kitana all grown up and Sindel sitting at the side of Shao Kahn as the ruler of both Outworld and Edenia. Here we see Shao Kahn and some of his people make a plan to steal the amulet of Shinnok from Raiden. We saw the amulet in the previous movie where Kano tried to steal it and he was killed off at the end. Apparently, our heroes did not take the amulet off of him, so it was just in his pocket as a dead body. Now they are trying to steal the amulet so Shao Kahn can become immortal and live as a king or a god and be able to kill whoever or whatever tries to face him off. As they talk about this plan, Kitana butts in and says they will need the power of a star or the energy of a star to be able to power the amulet. However, Shang Tsung just says, or the power of a god, implying that they are going to have to kill Raiden to power up the amulet for Shao Kahn to become immortal. It then cuts to the heroes of Earthrealm discussing or talking about the tournament and re-emphasizing on the need of one more warrior to fight alongside them. And this is because of Kung Lao's death that we saw in the previous movie, but we do know he's coming back in this movie, and he did. He came back as a revenant. Now speaking of that one last hero they needed to join them in their battle against Outworld, we enter Johnny Cage. Now from the trailers we did see that Johnny was down in the dumps, being all mopey and everything about his career falling apart. He is then approached by Raiden and Sonya, and they introduce him or tell him about Mortal Kombat. They convinced him to come along, but immediately he found out the tournament was to the death. He, without any shadow of doubt, decided to leave, and he did. We then cut to the tournament beginning. The tournament began and Johnny was transported to Outworld without any knowledge and had to face Kitana. He did, and obviously he lost the battle, but Kitana was merciful and did not kill him. We also at the same time see Sonya fight against Queen Sindel. Now this was an interesting battle as I predicted what was going to happen. Sonya managed to kill Queen Sindel. I did not exactly predict that Sonya was the one going to kill Queen Sindel, but I did predict that she was going to die and come back as a revenant. Queen Sindel's death and more of the other characters, both the heroes and villains, I predicted their deaths and those who are going to survive. It was about a 90% accuracy, so I'm going to link that video to this so you can check it out. Now this brings out the first positive I had about the movie. For some reason, though I predicted which characters were going to die, and though most of my predictions were accurate and correct, I was still surprised about the deaths. I suspected Jax was going to be killed in the movie, but when I saw him die, I was still shocked, I was still surprised. The same applies to Liu Kang, sort of dying at the hands of Shao Kahn, and we see that later on in the movie. Now at this point in the tournament, we have Shao Kahn facing off with Cole Young and Jax facing off against Jade. Jax had the upper hand and won the battle. However, he did have mercy on Jade the same way Kitana had mercy on Johnny Cage. He says this to her as he leaves and goes to join the heroes back on Earthrealm. Then we cut to the battle between Shao Kahn and Cole Young. Now this battle was something else. I think this movie managed to make Cole Young a bit likable. I really hated Cole Young from the first movie. I did not get why they had to make a new protagonist for the entire franchise. I'm not against them having new characters in the movie, but he was a bare minimum kind of character, and well, this movie, they sort of redeemed him. Now Cole Young is facing off with Shao Kahn, and we see a wonderful and sort of nicely choreographed battle. Most of the time, Shao Kahn had an upper hand, but Ko Yang managed to take over and was winning. We did see him kill Shao Kahn. However, at this point in the movie, he had gotten the amulet and became immortal. So in as much as Ko Yang was able to kill him, it was useless. It was of no use. He didn't die. And this is why I think he was redeemed, because they sort of made him have enough strength to be able to kill Shao Kahn. They gave him a cool battle scene and a nice end to his arc and life in the movie. So Ko Yang was killed by Shao Kahn, and the heroes didn't notice actually until Jax returned and asked them, hold on, where is Ko? And that was when they clocked it that, oh, he didn't return, so he probably must have been killed. So before Ko Yang faced off with Shao Kahn, we saw there was an ambush on the heroes by Kung Lao returning as a revenant. At this time, they had already plotted to kill Raiden. So what happened was, Kung Lao threw his hat, and as he spoke to the heroes for a very short period, telling them that they did not try to save him and Shao Kahn was the one who brought him back to life, the blade of the hat came and sliced Raiden's neck, spewing out a large and bright blue light of his powers. This is where Shang Tsung appears and uses the amulet to suck the power out of him. Not completely, but to an extent. That was how come Shao Kahn was able to get the amulet and become immortal to face off against Ko Yang. Once again, I predicted the death of Ko Yang. So at this point, the heroes are already being defeated. They are already losing the battle. We see that Kano comes back to join them, saying a lot of shit that he prefers to be with them and there's a lot of fun things to do on Earth, so he's going to join them instead of being at Outworld. Raiden then instructs Johnny Cage and Kano to go to the Nether Realm to go and find Bi-Han. Bi-Han had been revived and had taken the amulet away. And in as much as they had to go to Nether Realm, they could not navigate throughout Hell on their own, so they needed the help of Scorpion. They went to Scorpion and spoke to him and made him realize that Bi-Han was still alive. And then things took a turn. They tried then to defeat Bi-Han in the Nether Realm to get the amulet. It was a whole lot. It was a very beautiful fight sequence. Everything about that was wonderful. And they did manage to get it without any of them dying, except Cyborg. So that the trailers. As Raiden was slowly dying, it was then the turn for Liu Kang to face his opponent, which was Kung Lao, and they had a wonderful battle. Liu Kang had to kill his brother. It was a very sad scene for me to watch. In as much as Mortal Kombat, you know people are going to die. It was still very sad to see that Liu Kang didn't want to kill his own brother, but then had to. So upon killing him, he returns and they go through a whole lot of journeys, going to see the Tarkatans to help them to get to Shao Kahn and have a fight with him. And this is where the third act begins. So at this point, it was just one battle they had left. Shao Kahn facing off Liu Kang. Liu Kang did his best trying to defeat him, beat him and everything, but he was still killed. Before he died though, he managed to turn himself into some sort of flame that burst into the sky, saying that he knew he wasn't the chosen one, but there's someone that he has to revive to come and save Earthrealm. This sort of implies again that he is trying to save Kung Lao. So now that Liu Kang had been killed, Outworld had more or less won the tournament and was about to take Earthrealm for themselves. Out of nowhere, we see Kitana stand up and denounce Outworld, announcing that she is part of Earthrealm now. And then we have the final battle. Kitana faces off with Shao Kahn, doing everything she can with her fans, her skills, her martial arts and everything. She was struggling. Then we see Sonya coming, using her hand blasters, anything she can, trying to fight him, defeat him. She was easily beating Sonya, She was knocked out for a while. Then came Jax, also trying to use his hands, anything he can to fight back against Shao Kahn. Still, they were struggling. Shao Kahn is that strong. They were struggling and he was beating again. I don't know how Kitana kept surviving, but she was still there. Jax was being beaten, bruised, everything, and he had to face Shao Kahn one-on-one. And this was where he died. He held the hammer against Shao Kahn, but he was too strong and pushed it into his throat, killing him. I did predict that also. Check the video out. And now we have Kitana, Sonya, and Johnny Cage. So in another round, Johnny managed to get his powers, and he, Kano, and Scorpion used their powers all together as they were facing Noob Saibot to destroy the amulet. Cutting back to Kitana fighting against Shao Kahn. Now he doesn't have the amulet, so he can't be killed. And this is where we have the final battle of the movie. They face off against each other. Kitana cuts his throat, he starts bleeding and realizes that he is no more immortal. This is when he vexes, fighting back, doing everything he possibly can to kill her off and win Earthrealm to be the ruler of everything. And he manages to do so. He held Kitana's neck and choked it out, and we see her slowly dying. She then gets a flashback of her dad saying, or talking to her, being warm-hearted and everything, saying you can use anything to fight. You can use anything as a weapon. This was where she takes out her hairband and uses it against Shao Kahn and kills him off. In trying to kill Shao Kahn, she uses a whole slew of things, and he finally did a fatality on him. It was a fatality from the games. I'm not sure I can put that on YouTube, but he cut his head into threes, and it was wonderful to see that. And this was how our heroes managed to save Earthrealm. Now, getting to more of the things I liked about the movie. They did not use the powers as a sort of grand thing that was happening. They used it to flow easily in the movie. Because most movies do this. When I think the first movie even did this. When they're using the powers, they make it seem like something so big, something so grand. But in this movie, they managed to tone it down and use it sort of like a normal skill move of theirs. And this is something I really appreciated. And I thank the creators, the producers, everyone so much that they did that. Liu Kang using his fireballs, Kano using his laser eyes, Sonya using her blasters, Sindel using her voice, everything. It was wonderful. One more thing I can say I really liked about the movie was, Mortal Kombat is sort of a lot of gore, yeah. However, it isn't all gore. It has some amount of campiness to it, and they managed to balance it well enough for the movie to look and feel gory, but at the same time fun, without making it over the top. I also wasn't really sold on Carl Urban being Johnny Cage, but they managed to make it a bit better for me. Now, when I see Carl Urban, I just see Butcher from The Boys, but as the movie progressed, as the movie went along, I kind of got in tune with it and his character and how he portrayed Johnny Cage, and it was fun to see him. My gripes with the movie now is it felt sort of fast-paced. The movie was about an hour and 40 minutes, nearing 2 hours. But for a 2-hour movie, I feel like it went by really quickly. As a Mortal Kombat fan, I would have wanted to see more of it, like more of the movie. Maybe if they did it at 2 hours, 30 minutes. I know I'm stretching it, but it wouldn't have been bad. So the movie felt sort of fast-paced. It moved quickly from Shao Kahn taking over Edenia to Johnny Cage joining the heroes to the tournament and to the third act. It was too quick for my appreciation. So that is one thing I really do not like about the movie. And I don't really actually have a lot of gripes against the movie. It's just that it isn't a Project Hail Mary, but it is a really fun movie to see. It's something that is rewatchable, and so this is mainly the things I have to say. All in all, I don't really have a lot of negatives to say about the movie. I am a Mortal Kombat fan, of course, so you can say there's a bit of bias in what I'm saying. But the movie was much better than the first one. I slept like 3 times watching that movie. It isn't, as I said, a Project Hail Mary, but it's a good enough adaptation. It's a good enough movie. It's a better movie than the previous one, and good enough, once again, to see in theaters. Thanks for watching. I hope you loved the movie as well, as much as I did. But let me know what you think. Was the movie good enough? Was it better than the previous one? And do you want to see Mortal Kombat 3. Love y'all.